Welcome to the Fit Mama podcast, where it's all about gaining your health back as a busy woman and mom, and doing it without sacrificing time with your family or business. Here is your host, mompreneur and Fit Mama health coach, Angela Campbell.
So, I'm excited for Echo to share with you guys today. If you're on live, as always, say hi if you're checking this out and you're live streaming with us this morning. If you're catching this later on a replay, definitely let us know when you're watching it. Today is Fit Mama podcast number 8, which sounds crazy to me. I feel like we just started this thing, but today's topic I feel like is something that needs to be heard. And there's so many women out there chasing goals, and they're putting their health on the back burner, which is something that I know you and I share a common passion to help women realize that you don't have to do that to have success. So today's topic, we're going to talk about having success in an online business as a woman, entrepreneur, a mompreneur, as a lot of us call ourselves. It doesn't mean that you have to sacrifice your health to get there. So you're going to hear from Echo, you're going to hear her journey, what she also does, helping women, which is a very different approach, which I love and adore. So in today's episode, you're going to learn how an extremely successful female entrepreneur like Echo puts herself first, how she learned it, how important that is, how she overcame sacrificing herself and realized you can actually have more success in your business. And this is something I feel like women need to know. You can have more success in your business if you take care of you first, and especially over the long term, and you can keep that success going. But also you're going to hear from Echo. The last 12 weeks, I've been blessed to be able to work with her, and she's down 8.4 pounds and 8.5 inches. And it's just phenomenal. So if you haven't seen her transformation yet, you should see it. We'll drop it. You know, if you're in our Fit Mompreneur group, you should definitely have seen it or will see it, or go back there and scroll. But if you're not in our Fit Mompreneur, if you're watching this live on our Facebook, join the group. There's a link above. Or you can just go to the website if you're catching this later on replay, acfitmama.com. There's a big button on the main page that says join our community. We would love to have you for any woman out there. So in the group, the big question I always get, because we see so many women out there losing weight, shrinking their belly fat, and really they're busy. I think everybody is busy. They're busy, just looks slightly different, but they're finding ways to fit it in. They're fitting their health into their daily life, which means I truly believe if any of us can do it, like I feel like anybody can do it, especially if you have the right support. So we're going to talk about that again. I want you to hear from Echo there herself, how she worked up the success ladder in her Young Living business among building her own brand, and realizing that her health was number one if she wanted to keep that going. So we're going to talk about that in just a second. But first, I love to give shout outs, because I feel like what's wrong with a shout out, right? We've got some amazing women in our Fit Mompreneur program, our Fit Mompreneur group, but our Fit Mama program is doing amazing. So 4 shout outs I want to give this morning, and then I'm going to turn it over to Echo to share some things, you guys. So first I want to say welcome. Debbie Driver is starting her Fit Mama program Monday, so I'm super stoked to get her started. I want to give a shout out also to Lori Alazaba. If you are watching this on the live stream and you know her, give her a major shout out, because she's been doing phenomenal and she's over 20 pounds lost now, under that 200 pound mark, which I know is a huge thing for her that she wanted to get. So I'm super stoked and excited. So give her some love in the comments, drop some hearts for her. And then also Brandy Fair and Caitlin Bender. These were 2 women that just had their first check-in, their first progress check, 2 weeks. Brandy's down 3 pounds, and Caitlin Bender is down 9.4 pounds. I'm just so super stoked and excited for these women. And so major shout out, if you know them, or even if you don't, give them some shout out in the comments of our live stream so you can see that. So here's the thing. I'm ready to hear from Echo. I don't know if you're watching this or hearing this later. I know you are too. So first, Echo, I want to start with just share your story, like who you are, what you do, how you also help women, because I think so many of us need to hear that as well. If you want to start there, and we'll go from there.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here and just so grateful for you and all you do. And I know we'll get into that, but I definitely cannot wait. It's my last week with you with the 12-week program. And I know Sunday I will be sharing those results, and I know they're going to blow my mind just like they probably will others. So like you said, I am a successful online entrepreneur, so to speak, but it goes a lot further than that for me. I started with Young Living 6 years ago, actually, like the beginning of September. So coming up on our 6 years, and our journey's a lot to explain, but we were really in a desperate time of our lives and about to get foreclosed on our house. And we had something tragic happen in our household that kind of sent everything into a spiral, mind, body, soul, physical, financial, emotional, all the things. And when Young Living was presented to me, I took it as an opportunity. There's a lot more backstory there. I was actually against network marketing, all the things, but ran with it and created, a successful business thanks to, the women that I linked arms with. And the first 3 years of my business, which I know we're going to talk more about, I was not intentional. I was doing all the things and like killing myself for success, right? Like I was still working out at that time. I was still very in the fit mom community. I was still like, I got back into pre-baby shape, all of that kind of stuff within the first, year. And then, but 3 years into my business, I realized I was just running around like a chicken with my head cut off. Yes, we reached the top break in the company. Yes, we became 7-figure earners, all this kind of stuff. But it ended up at the cost of so much, right? So about that 3-year mark is when I dove deep into my spiritual journey and what I call my soul up journey. And what happened with that and my physical aspect is that I really put all of that on the back burner. So for the last 2 to 3 years, 2.5 years, I let myself go and I got in the worst shape of my life. I was, just feeling blah physically because I thought I had the mindset that, to be successful in my business and do all these things, like I couldn't throw in the physical aspect of it too. And I knew better, right? Like I'd been, I'm 36 years old. I've been in the fitness community. Like I knew better, but I had just gotten to where I didn't prioritize it. And it wasn't something that I prioritized. And I finally looked in the mirror one day and I was just like, what am I doing? I'm working on all of this inner transformation. And again, it's all divine. And I think it's all perfect how it played out, but I'm working on all this inner transformation. We're the most successful we've ever been in our businesses that are thriving, my Soul Up brand business and Young Living, and it was all thriving, but physically I had put myself on the back burner. And I finally looked in the mirror, and that's when I reached out to you and I was like, oh my gosh, like I've got to do something. And I needed the accountability because, yes, I'm a life coach. Yes, I'm a leader of an organization that has 150,000 people underneath us, like all the things, right? Success, but a coach needs a coach. And I think that's what drew me to you is, and I don't know you really personally, but I'd followed you online and my husband knows you and your husband and all of that. But, January, I started to realize here, okay, I've got to change some stuff. So we got the Peloton. I started doing a little bit there, right? Lost 10 pounds from January to May. Okay. But then I was just feeling stuck. And I told you that, right? I was like, I am stuck. Like, I don't like how I look. Like, I've never been this out of shape, even at that point. And so what I've learned that I'm excited to talk about and dive into as you start, we get more into this is, that you can what I teach my team with Young Living and my members of Soul Up and the community of women that I lead on their spiritual path and rediscovering their truth is that you can have it all. You have to learn to be intentional, right? And I think that's the key is you have to be intentional with your life and your businesses and your fitness and your health and all of those things. You can't just throw it all in a bucket every day and shake it up and do all the things, because then you get into that fight or flight mode and, the sympathetic nervous system goes crazy and then you just lose it all. So I think it's important that what you do is you make it very easy to be intentional and it just to be a part, again, what I teach, but a coach needs a coach, about lifestyle. It's not oh, here's a month or 12 weeks even, and this is like going to fix everything. It's creating that lifestyle. And so that's what I do. And it kind of a modge podge of everything. We can go deeper into stuff, but I am an entrepreneur that believes that you can have it all with intentionality and creating, lifestyles and systems and all of that.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And you mentioned the word intentional often. And being in the online industry as well too, like I hear that a lot when we talk about how to grow our business. And that's what led me to do what I do now. Because, being intentional in your business is so key. Yeah. But also being intentional in your health and your fitness is something that I don't think the message has really got out there yet, that I know is so powerful. And so tell me if you would go a little bit deeper in your journey. You said you kind of lost yourself. Like, tell me, like, what was your day there? Explain kind of what your day might have been before and like how you felt all the time. You were chasing success and having massive success, but you were putting yourself on that back burner. Like, where were you at that point? Like mentally, physically?
Yeah. So the first 3 years, again, 6 years ago, the first year 1 through 3 of my business, I was doing it all. I was staying in shape, all of that, but I wasn't sleeping. I had anxiety. I was stressed out. I was all the things, right? And then so I was putting myself in the back burner more on the mental, emotional, spiritual space, which is just as, if not worse, than putting yourself physically, which is what kind of propelled me. One of the pieces that propelled me into my spiritual journey, which then I put my physical on the back burner. So I've been through a lot of spiritual healing and energetic healing, and I am an energy healer as well, an alchemist. So, I was in that space in the beginning 3 years ago where I was like, I'm just going to hand it all over to God and my angels and all the things, and I'll be okay. And then I kept looking in the mirror going, oh gosh, what's happening? And so I went like the opposite direction of physical health. And so, my days were spent working. And again, one of the big things I teach, I have a free mini series on my website too, for intentional living, intentional days with your business, with your life. But like, I had completely put the physical on the back burner. And what I started to learn after so much healing internally was, man, I got to take care of this vessel that I'm here in this lifetime and in this body, that I need to take care of this. And honestly, one of the things was I started to, and it sounds weird, but I started to actually feel and look my age. And I had always been one of those people, and this isn't bragging, this is just like, truth is like, I don't always been one of those people that always looked younger than they were. Right. Yeah. And so when I started to like feel that I was looking older, I was like, okay, because when you're not taking care of your health and fitness, like it affects your face, it affects like your aging process, it affects all the things. Sure. And so I just got to the point in my spiritual path again in January, the beginning of this year, where I was like, enough is enough. I can't keep putting myself on the back burner physically and not being confident in my skin, not looking in the mirror and loving what I see, because I knew that I was actually nourishing my body when I wasn't, I wasn't nourishing it physically and wellness wise with food. And so it was a struggle to have, like you said, have all the success on paper, right? But not taking care of this vessel that's actually, functioning every day and having to uphold the success and to continue it. So it was a lot. It was a lot of, and then it went back to the mental of like, okay, but you're perfect the way you are. But then it went back to, but you're really not taking care of yourself the best you can for your highest good, which is what I'm all about, is what's for my highest good. And eating taco casa and working on a computer or meditating, even like after eating taco casa, like, hello, like talk about low frequencies.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, then, yeah. And I am glad you said that too, because I love talking about the puzzle of being the ultimate healthy person. Mm-hmm. And you were focusing on your mental and your soul, but you weren't focusing on the other side. And yeah. I feel like, what is your personal opinion from working with people in that aspect, but also putting the piece of the nutrition and the fitness all in one, like how that goes so well together? Because I even see people from my side, if they're working out like crazy, maybe even watching their nutrition, but nothing's happening in their body. And it's because this isn't right. Their soul's not right. So it's a full circle to really get to that place that you want to be as a happy, healthy person, but also successful in your business, obviously. So from your personal experience and your professional opinion, because you help people on that side anyway, like, how do you feel like those three things are totally connected?
Oh, they're all, it's all cyclical, right? So it's connected 100% because, you know, what happens is all the pieces play off each other. So you can be super spiritual, woo woo, and then again, going and, you know, eating low frequency foods every single day, all day, and you're just putting that stuff back in your body, you know, and so then it just throws you off and you're just going to keep doing this. Or when your mind isn't right and you don't have the personal growth, the mindset aspect of it, then you're going to have that disconnect. And because, especially as a healer and working with energy every day, where your thoughts go, where your energy flows is what keeps coming back. It's law of attraction. So if you're super spiritual and you want, you know, to be in a good state, and I say good loosely, I don't really like the good or bad, but like a high frequency state in your body, or to feel good, but you're walking past the mirror every day going, oh, look at that, or eating the low frequency food, the law of attraction, that's what's going to keep coming to you. And so then when you start to, like you said, you start to be super physical, or say that there's the people that really work out or whatever, but they're just completely disconnected from themselves, their higher selves, their source, on whatever they're desiring, then they're not going to budge the scale or budge those inches off, because they're still filled with low frequencies inside. And then from a business standpoint, I always am talking to my tribe and my team about getting active, get those endorphins going, get that blood flow going. It'll gain that clarity. And again, it all goes back to the intentionality, what you desire. I'm not saying you can't be successful and eat crap, and you can eat crap all day. You can totally do that. Like, you can totally do that. But I can guarantee you the people that are doing that, or don't have some kind of physical activity, or eat crap all the time, or really successful, or whatever, those watching this know right now, they can feel it in their body energetically when we're talking about this, that they are out of alignment and they are off kilter somewhere in their life.
Oh, absolutely. 100%, 100%. I love that. That's so powerful, because yeah, like, it all goes together. You can't outwork a bad diet. You can't, both of those together. You hear that a lot, or at least I do in the fitness industry.
It's cliche for a reason.
Yeah, it is. But you also, like, the thing that so many women are missing, it's what you talked about, the whole combination. You got to work on this. You got to work on the inner self just as much as the outer self. And when you don't, your outer self may not even be changing the way you want it to, no matter how hard you work, no matter how strict you diet. Mm-hmm. It is definitely all in one thing. So I know you mentioned a little bit, but I wanted to know if you had, right before you reached out to me, like you had mentioned, you were at a place you're like, oh, I need help. Something needs to change. Did you have any like big turning point that was just like a slap in the face, almost like, okay, I got to do something about this, that kind of stands out to you that you would love to share?
Yeah. So I think it's just part of the transformation that I've been going through over the last few years, and just up-leveling my life in general. And again, that was all coming from this spiritual place, but having the knowledge that I had and knowing how my body used to feel. Granted, I'm getting older, but age truly is just a number to me. And that's cliche because it's true for a reason. Right. But I started to, at the beginning of this year, after 2.5 years into my spiritual journey, again, walking past the mirror going, but knowing what the potential that I had, knowing my potential, knowing where I'd gone before, but honestly, just knowing that, I used to be a runner. I don't really ever want to be a runner again. I don't see myself wanting to be a runner again, but we set that goal. I want to be able to run a mile without stopping. Now I can run a mile without stopping. I can check it off my list. Right. Yeah. But like looking past walking past the mirror, and I got my husband, Danny, to take pictures of me in January. And when I saw because I think I do have such a strong, powerful mind, and So when I looked in the mirror, I wasn't seeing what those pictures showed, which is a good thing because I probably would have started a lot sooner.
Right.
But like when he took those pictures, and I'll have to send them to you, and I might even post them as part of my transformation.
Yeah.
I was just like, who is that? Like, who is that girl? You could be the most holier than thou person, but I wasn't feeling right in my body. And I told you we had a goal for my weight, which we'll get into that in the transformation that's coming. But like, I had a goal because I knew what my body felt, how my body felt good. And I was not living that. And I didn't have any energy to play with my 6-year-old son. I didn't have energy for like much. And I blamed it on, oh, it's just, for the woo-woo people watching, it's just ascension symptoms. It's just part of it. But like, I knew better, right? And so I got sick of myself. And I think that's how transformation starts to happen. It's either through desperation or inspiration, right? And mine was like desperation of like, oh my gosh, like, ew, like I don't, like how I'm feeling, because we all know our personal best, but we all know how we feel best in our bodies,
Oh, absolutely. And pictures, sometimes can be that point too. I had a similar scenario with myself last year. Like, I don't even know who the person is.
Yeah.
Going on. If you are watching this on the live stream, definitely put, in the comments if you can relate, if that resonates with you for sure, or if you have questions as well too, don't forget to ask them, because we can definitely get them answered, or Echo can for sure.
And another thing really quickly, I think that, through my spiritual path and the growth there is I run a huge, massive organization of a health and wellness lifestyle company.
Yes.
And I was not taking care of my physical being, right? And how am I supposed to promote living a healthy, toxic-free life when I was not physically taking it's, and that's kind of a lot. I could go into that, but like, I felt kind of like an imposter too, right? Like I promote health and wellness, and yes, our products are all over the board for everything, but like, I need to represent my passion, which is helping women live their best life. And I'm not living my best life. I think it was just one of those, continuous light bulb moments every day. I was like, okay, nope, something's got to change. And I am strong willed. So I just,
yes.
But
I love that you just brought that up, because I can't tell you how many times I hear that sometimes we feel, and I hear the word hypocrite a lot from women that need help in the fitness and nutrition, what I do, because that's a thing. They share products all day long that helps them be healthier versions of themselves, but they're like, I can preach this, but I'm not practicing it. So it's really hard to put anything out there about these products that can help people if they're not doing it themselves. So hard, but so common. I feel like that is so common. So I'm so glad that you brought that up. That's super powerful. So let's talk a little bit about the last 12 weeks. Like before we started working together and making the tweaks and changes and the little tiny things that we did, because that's exactly what we do. They are so tiny, little minor tweaks on a weekly basis that we change. Where would you say you were with your nutrition and your workout before we started?
I had started to eat healthy at that point from January to May, but I wasn't tracking anything. I didn't really know like what was going in my body, but I was eating probably 80% healthier, like healthy foods. But again, it was not anything that I could tangibly say, oh yeah, I was consuming this or consuming that. I was eating the vegetables, I was eating the organic stuff, all of that. But again, there was no structure, and I'm very go with the flow nowadays. But at the same time, I think that I was kind of at that point too, where I was like, okay, I need help. I know this, like what I'm eating's good, but am I eating enough? How am I eating too much? Like what is happening? So I had those questions like going through my head, like, okay, this is really good, but and I was getting a meal prep service from a company or a business that I love in my hometown. And so, which was again, all organic, clean food, but no idea how much I was eating, what I was eating really, it was just kind of like, oh, I'm just going to eat this today,
Yes, just kind of winging it. I always call it winging it because I see that, a lot of people I think do you remember the first thing I told you that you needed to do?
The very first thing I think was water, right? Or yeah.
Well, even on nutrition, it's the most common thing that I work with women is we just have to eat more. A lot of times.
Oh yeah. I think when I tracked the first day, just observing, I was getting barely any calories, it felt like, compared to even just the minimal, lower calories that I was eating for the 12 weeks. I was not eating enough at all, not even close to it.
Yeah. And would you say when we talked about how much you needed to eat, you were a little scared about having to increase it that much?
Yeah. And the first week or two was a learning curve of trusting, right? The trust game, which I'm all about. I'm constantly teaching trust the process. So the first couple of weeks, I was like, oh, I feel like I'm eating so much. I'm having to force myself to eat. And it was all good, healthy food, and it wasn't a lot. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, but it felt like a lot because I just wasn't used to that intentionality and structure of it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's very common. A lot of people are like, what? Yeah, we may eat more? Are you crazy? I do not think so. Yeah. Or I see a lot of people, and I think you were doing this a little bit too. I see a lot of people saying there's so many fad diets out there and there's so many things. It's so confusing. Or even with fasting, everybody wants to fast, which is a very great tool that I love. And we did introduce back in, but we even, took that away because that's one thing that I do see a lot of women doing, but they create this habit of not eating enough food.
Oh yeah. I was fasting wrong because I'd loved fasting before, but when I fasted, obviously I wasn't tracking anything, but when I fasted before, I would just then eat 2 meals, lunch and dinner. I wasn't trying to fit in my calories in that time. I was just cutting calories and not eating, right? So I was starving myself. I wasn't fasting right. Because when you taught me how to fast, I was like, oh, you have to fit all those calories in that time frame now. Crap. Then it wasn't that fun.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, it's not as fun as I thought it was. Yeah, it's a very easy tool, but I see that a lot. So I wanted to definitely touch base on that a little bit because that's very common. I see a lot of people that just dive into fasting because it is easy. They usually skip this anyway. It's a piece of cake, but they end up doing more damage than good because they're not eating enough food. So that's definitely, I love that we kind of chatted about that. And then your results were consistently small changes through the whole time. How did you feel? Was that hard at first to think, oh, these are small changes, and then you're like, oh, but it's still going?
It was, but again, from our original conversation, I knew that I had to just lean in and trust the process. And because I am very instant gratification type of person, I am like, okay, let's go big, let's do this. But I think it was perfect because it helped with that intentionality. Every day, now I know, even at 12, and I did drink a lot of water before, but I'm very conscious of okay, I'm making sure I get my water in, okay, I'm going to make sure I eat enough protein, those kind of things. So it was those small chipping away things, but that's what's created what will be permanent results, right? Of habits. I think that's how you create habits. Because again, if you would have just put all of the things in front of me and said, okay, you're restarting your life here, here's 12 things you need to do, I would have given up, right? Because it would have been too much. It would have been too overwhelming. This was simple and easy processing of every week. It's a gradual shift, which has then led to this huge, massive ending, right, of transformation.
Yeah, and you feel like you learned in the process, which I think is one of the bigger value pieces of learning as you go, so that you don't have to have a coach for life. If you can, great, right? But you learn and you've created these habits that can stick with you for a long time. Would you say there's anything that was maybe some of your biggest takeaways or biggest changes that you made over the 12 weeks that stood out to you the most?
For sure, the protein, and we've talked about that, getting enough protein, and just eating enough, right? And not being scared of food, like thinking, okay, well, if I'm eating these calories, da, 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 da. But really just, what I've loved the most about the learning experience is the consistency of it. Like just having that, creating that habit. I love creating new healthy habits because once they're locked in, you know better now, so like you can fall off the wagon a little bit. Okay, cool. But you know better. And that will always be in here of going, oh crap, I didn't eat any protein today. Or, oh my gosh, I didn't eat my, whatever, the fish oils, or just those things will start to stay. And that's what I love about your process, is that it was just a consistent, gradual increase of knowledge. And that's what will stick with you. Cause I think that's in life, business, everything is again, if you would have given me 12 weeks of all the things to do, it would have been mind overload, body overload, and it would have been uncomfortable. And you made it super easy,
Yes, perfect. Yeah, I love to hear that because that's definitely my goal with it. Because if I gave you all 12 tasks at the same time, that's where people last a week, maybe 2, and then they quit.
Right.
So how would you say? So obviously, let's go numbers, and then I just want to share like what you feel like how putting all pieces together has helped you in your business from here on out, like your mindset and all the things, but more so numbers. So I know you just weighed in again the other day. Yeah. So we're down, what did we say, 8.4 pounds now. Did you think that you even had 8.4 pounds to lose at the beginning of this?
No, I mean, because we've surpassed my initial goal, right? Now I've set another one, but and it's not just about the weight. Cause again, like the inches, the pictures, how my clothes fit, everything. But no, I did not think that I would do it that fast, even though like my ego was trying to tell me, oh, that 12 weeks is a long time. So if you can lose, this or that, but as the process went on, and again, working out again, like very regimented and all of these things, you also put on that muscle. So I was like, is it going to just shift or transform or what? So the 8.5 pounds, which again, I'm sure by Sunday, I feel like I've already like lost another 0.5 pound or so. So who knows what it'll be in the next 4 days. So I feel like, again, everything is like at 12 weeks, it's weird. The last 10 weeks to now, I feel like stuff is shifting even more.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I love it. And it's been slow, steady, and consistent. And that's what I feel like is so powerful. And it's what you'll be able to keep maintaining off. Or maintaining from here on out too. And so how do you feel like just not even just the weight loss or the results, the 8.5 inches you've also lost between your waist, hips, arms, and thighs? Those are the main areas that I love to measure on a woman. That's amazing. But how do you feel like putting you back on the top of the priority list has really helped you grow your business even more and, just to be your ability to be a better leader?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely putting my physical health back up front along, because I am what some people would call selfish, in the sense I always prioritize myself as number one, even above my husband and child, in the sense of my spiritual journey, resting, those things. I don't put business above them, obviously, but as far as my mind, body, soul health, I've done that, except for the body part. And so putting the body part back on top, prioritizing that, has made me again connect deeper into the highest version of myself, which then makes me a better wife and mom, which is what I'm always teaching. You have to prioritize yourself, because when you can't sit and it's cliche. We're all about these cliches, but like pouring from that empty cup, like serves no one. You're not giving your family your best, your business your best, anything. So adding back in the physical aspect of self-care for me, and taking these 12 weeks and going to continue on to prioritize that, I've got more energy, more clarity, more, inspiration, creativity, all of that flowing through me for my business. And I've, the energy has been a huge piece to the puzzle of just having that energy to connect in and be clear-minded and focused for business, and to show up again for my family and my businesses as my highest self. And I've always said mind, body, soul, but that body piece was for sure lacking.
That's the one piece of the puzzle that was missing.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I love that you said selfish, because I feel like so many people hear that word and they think it's a negative word. It's not, in my opinion, whatsoever. It's a necessity. And when you're a mom, you have a son, you have a husband, but you have to come first. And that was the hardest lesson that I even learned on my own journey. Like, I used to put my husband and my kid always first. And even then, and then there was business. And then, I might have been way down here.
Right.
Wrong. You have to be first, or you're not going to show up as good as you can for your team, for your spouse, and especially for your kids. And so you owe yourself to be selfish. And that's a positive thing. It's not a negative thing at all.
100%.
So the last question I do have for you is if you could give any piece of advice to anybody out there that's considering, or just like lost, and they don't have either the clueless what to do, or they're unhappy with themselves, and share, I would love for you to just any piece of advice. We'll end on that. And also share with these women that are listening later on the podcast, or even the live stream, like, how can they follow you? Where would they find you if they wanted to?
Yeah. So as far as my advice is, contact you. Join the Fit Mama community. Get on a Zoom call with you. I think the Zoom call was huge for us, just to get on and talk, even though we're like practically in the same town, right? But with everything going on in the world, thank God for technology, because we were able to get on, talk through the goals, and have that first initial meeting before I committed to anything. And don't be afraid to ask questions. If you are, thinking of doing this, ask the questions, get in the group, and really just ask yourself, like, what are you going to look back in a year, and are you going to regret not starting to make changes, or committing to making changes? Or are you going to be happy with if you are exactly how you are right now, mind, body, soul, but especially physically, for what we're talking about, in your physical body with your health and your fitness? If you could imagine being exactly where you are right this second, a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, would you be fulfilled and in alignment and happy? And if you cannot say 100% yes, then it's a no. And you need to start to make those shifts and changes, because it is taking care, again, of your vessel, of your physical body, is so important to living a long, happy life and successful life filled with vitality and joy and bliss. Yes, it is not about getting to a certain size 0 or any of that kind of BS, that, is out there. It's not about turning into some kind of supermodel in a magazine. It's about being your best version, whatever that looks like for you. I've got some best friends that on a scale and in society, people would think was overweight, right? But they work on their fitness. They eat healthy. They're nutritionally balanced. They do all these things. That's just their body type, right? It's just a lot of what their body is up to this lifetime. But it's about feeling good. And again, like I said earlier, ask yourself, how do I feel in my body? And you'll instantly know. Ask your body, how do you feel? And your body will tell you. You'll get that twinge in your heart, that ache in your knee, whatever it is that will tell you, we gotta shift something. So I definitely think that's my advice. Just get involved, ask questions, contact you, and ask yourself those hard questions. Are you going to be happy with how you are? And the habits that you're creating now are going to pay off in that year. So which habits do you need to shift? And y'all, I run multiple successful businesses. I could have tried to do this on my own, right? But Angela made it so easy and just laid it out there for me, which I needed as a businesswoman, as a busy mom, I needed that accountability and that hand holding, because it made it easier and it made it more simple for me just to commit and do, versus me trying to figure all this out myself, which I just don't have time for. And so get involved. Do it. Just do it. That's my advice. Just do it. Nike.
And where can they find you, or do you have a website?
You can, I hang out the most on Instagram, and it is just at Echo Summer Hill. I also have the website, which has free meditation trainings, the Intentional Living series, which is free, all of that at echosummerhill.com. So I'm Echo Summer Hill on everything, Facebook and all.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. And I'll share that link as well too, because the mind is so powerful, and it all goes together. So I love your story. I followed you for a long time. It's been so fun getting to watch you transform and help you along those ways. And yeah, I agree with, a coach needs a coach. I have coaches that I work with as well too on everything I do.
Yeah, for sure.
And it was hard for me to get out of my own way and realize I needed help, but it's so powerful, and we really do. So again, you guys check out Echo Summer Hill, Instagram, website, all the things. I'll share the link as well too, so you guys can check out, what she does as well too. And again, like Echo said, we can sit and chat free, take just a little bit of time to figure out what's going on. If there's something that I can offer to help you, or at minimum join our group. If you're listening on the podcast, acfitmama.com. It's as simple as that homepage, or it's on the link above if you're watching this on the live stream. So you guys, thank you so much for tuning in. That is our podcast. Y'all have an amazing rest of your day.